I have literally been waiting all day to get this tarot deck. I ordered it back in September because it was on pre-order. I have been waiting for it ever since, and now it's only a few stops away, and I'm dying to see it. They're dropping it off. I got my granny slippers on. Let's go. Let's go and get it. Don't look at my Halloween decor. For whatever reason, it's still up. The package. Ugh, so much heavier than I thought it was going to be. Okay, we're gonna open this together here. I know the perspective's strange, but we're gonna open it. I have my little helper, who is, okay, come here, go down there. So, let's do this. I have been waiting for this deck for a while. I'm gonna open the box, or the bag, to get the box out, and then we'll do the rest of it together. This is so much bigger than I expected. Oh my gosh. Nice. Hi everybody, my name's Amelia and welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be doing a deck interview with the Fyodor Pavlov Tarot. So actually I don't remember which video this was commented on, but somebody, I'll put them up here, requested a deck interview process, or like for me to show it, and I have been waiting for this tarot deck to arrive so that way I could film that process for you. It took a while. I ordered the Fyodor Pavlov Tarot deck back in September, on September 4th to be specific, and I just received the deck like this week. So it's been a long time. I've waited a while. For those of you who don't know, the Fyodor Pavlov Tarot was created by the artist Fyodor Pavlov, and the deck was originally an indie deck, and I didn't know about it until I watched Danny Mystique's video. I will leave a link to her channel down below, but she did the Fyodor Pavlov flip through, and I saw it then, and I was like, I love this deck. I want this deck. So I searched for it, and at the time when I saw that video, I don't remember if it was like not out by US Games yet or it was just coming out. I kind of forget, but at some point I found out that US Game Systems had picked up the deck to make it mass market. So it was no longer an indie deck and instead would be mass market. So as soon as I could, as soon as I remembered and realized that I wanted this deck, I went straight to Amazon and I placed my pre-order. There were a lot of kinks on the path of publishing, but eventually it did come out and now I have it, and I'm so excited to work with it. So for today, like I said, we're just going to be doing a deck interview, so I'm going to show you the types of questions I ask, how I do my interview process, and we'll go from there. Anyway, before we get into the bulk of this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up because it does help out me and my channel, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so here we are. I finally have the Fyodor Pavlov Tarot in my hands. It took forever for it to come out. Of course, I understand that there are a lot of complications with this, but it felt like a long time for me. I'm glad I have it. I am glad I have it. I will say that. I keep shaking the table. I'm sorry. Every time I shake the table, the camera shakes. But look at this. It's so much bigger than I thought. Like, this is my hand. It's so much bigger than I expected it to be. I really love this gold detailing across it. And I really like that there's like this notch here, so it makes it easier to like pull the lid off, which we're not going to do just yet. And of course we have the back. So I'm going to treat this just the way I normally would if I were just working with a tarot like by myself. Aside from the aesthetic setup, I probably wouldn't do all that. But yeah, now I am racing daylight here, so for this portion of the video, I am just going to do the initial unboxing and flip through the cards, and then possibly tomorrow or just another time when the lighting is better, I will go ahead and do the actual deck interview. So this video is going to be kind of like the flip through, my first impressions, and then followed with the deck interview portion. So yeah, I think I'm excited on this. So, goodness, okay. So first of all, it's by US Game Systems, and I do not remember how much this was, or how much it still is, but I bought mine from Amazon. So, alright, we're gonna read the back here. So, the Fyodor Pavlov Tarot. Captivating artist Fyodor Pavlov pays tribute to the seminal Smith-White tarot deck imagery by creating a hand-painted tarot deck in watercolor and ink that is informed by his personal queer and trans experiences. The result is a tarot deck that is familiar and timeless while exploring new and diverse representations of gender, sexuality, and culture. Pavlov artfully introduces queer and non-binary identities while staying true to the canonical tarot meanings. Sweet. Okay. So the first time I ever saw this was actually when I was watching a Danny Mystic video, and she had the indie version and she was flipping through it and I fell in love, and when I found out that it was going to be mass market, I immediately purchased. So, alright, I'm just gonna stop talking about that stuff and just open it up. Okay, I'm having trouble opening it up. It's brand new. Okay. Ooh, put that there for now. So, nice little ribbon, and there's a guidebook. Okay, I actually didn't expect like a whole book. Like, I did not expect a full-on book when I got this deck. So that's cool. I mean, that's a whole thing. And it's hardback and stuff. Interesting. I'm not going to go into this now because I typically go into the guidebook a little bit later. So my personal method of looking at these decks and working with them is to just form an intuitive connection first before looking at the artist's interpretation and the artist's intention. That comes second. So I'm going to set this aside and we're going to pull out the cards. Ooh, I did not know they were going to be gilded. Oh, yes. Okay, I have a love-hate relationship with gilding, so put that box aside. Let's see if I can open this up. Okay, so they are kind of stuck together, if you can see the clumping, because of the gilding. That is normal, but we're going to flip through them anyway. Ooh, okay. Cardstock's interesting. I like the little shiny bits and the foiling on the back. That's nice. Okay. It's a lot thinner than I thought it was going to be, and I actually thought it was going to be linen cardstock. I don't know why I thought that, but it is not. So it's not my favorite cardstock, but honestly it feels pretty good, all things considered. It's nice and big. Again, back to that gilding, it's very pretty. It's not as awful as some of the other gilding I have in some of my other decks. I hope it doesn't stick too bad together, but we'll go through that. And yeah, I know it's going to wear and tear over time, but that is how it is. So I'm gonna set this down and let me reorganize this so that way we can zoom in a little bit. All right, so here we go. We're gonna look at these cards. I'll just take one off the time and we'll go through it together. Okay, I like this Fool. I like this a lot. This is really cute. I like that there's a cat instead of a dog too. I like the colors. Okay, the main reason I got this deck was because of the art. It's just gorgeous. I love this style, and I love the muted colors. I don't really have a deck with a lot of muted tones. I have pastels, but not really muted tones. So, ooh. I love that like the wand is like the thing that he's holding, and then like you can see the sword, the pentacles are the coins, and the cup on the table. It's kind of nice. I also really love the stars here. That is so cute. Magician indeed. Okay. High Priestess. That's a very pretty High Priestess. Most High Priestesses are gorgeous in like every deck. I also like that the art kind of goes outside this border that was drawn here. I like that a lot. This is so pretty. There will be some nudity in this deck, but I feel like that's something that's in a lot of tarot decks, so I'll put the warning up. I probably should have said that earlier, but there will be some nudity, so yeah. This is really pretty. I love this, like the little red colors, like the red by her eyes, like just the peachy kind of color. That feels very like, I don't know, soft and lifelike to me. I really like that. The Emperor. I like this a lot. That does feel very Emperor-like to me. I really like that, like the birds in the background. It's really nice. Hierophant. I like those little keys on the bottom. It's cute. I wonder what he's holding. Like, I don't know what that symbol is. Is that like a big feather? A big leaf? I have no idea. Interesting. I like the colors a lot. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. The Lovers. Oh, I love the colors. I love the pops of colors. Oh my gosh, my voice broke. I love the pops of colors with these like muted, like all the muted tones. And their hands are like bound together. So one thing that I really want to incorporate in my future wedding, whenever I have it, is the hand fasting ritual where you literally tie the knot. Now, the thing about hand fasting, I've done a lot of research into it, and technically it's kind of changed like when you do it throughout history. So like it was the actual ceremony for a while, then it became more of an engagement thing when the church got involved, and then the church would marry people. But either way, like the whole phrase of tying the knot that you see in weddings originates from that tying the knot when you do the hand fasting, and I think that's very, very, very pretty. I like that. That's really sweet. It's interesting. This one person's holding a like a arrow, and this one's holding, is that like an apple or a fruit? Huh. I like this. I like that a lot. Nice. Powerful Chariot. Yes. The Chariot was one of those cards I really connect with. There's two major arcana cards that I am particularly drawn to, and that's the Chariot and the Hermit. Those are the two that just kind of like call to me. Like if I were a tarot card, I'd be one of those two. Because I think I just relate to the energies of them a lot, so I like the Chariot. I'm very picky about Chariot cards because of that, and Hermit cards too. Strength. Look at that pretty like magenta color. It's also a big wolf instead of like a lion. Huh. I'm not sure if I like that or if I don't like that. I don't really think I have an opinion on it, maybe. I don't know. The Hermit. Okay, I love that the Hermit is a young woman, or like I don't know how old she is, but that is a woman, and I like this because I identify with the Hermit a lot. That's so sweet. So cute. She's like a raven maybe, or a crow on her shoulder. I don't know how to tell the difference between the two. I know I have crows near me, but... Ooh, the Wheel of Fortune. This card pissed me off a lot 2 years ago, and I feel like it's going to be popping up in my life again a lot here soon. Justice. I do not know what these say. Distributed justice, something distributed. Do not know what that means. Very pretty though. Okay, we're sticking. Here we go. The Hanged Man. Death. Oh. Death is a really nice card. As a Scorpio sun, I love the Death card. Cute. Cute and spooky. Temperance. I like that. Oh my goodness. The Devil. Wow. If this does not like, I mean, this feels like strong, like addiction, obsession. Like I can feel that from the card. Like you have like this imagery of the snake, you know, which in like a lot of lore relates to like evil entities or like darker entities. I think the nipples are eyes. That's so freaking cool. We have these dark wings. Like, there's so much here to look at, and to think about like the historical context, and to think about what these symbols mean. And not only that, but the people are like tied up, and yeah, I like this. I think that that does represent this card. Like, you're chained to things that control you, things that prevent you from looking towards your higher self and stuff. So I really like that. I think that was a good depiction. The Tower. Person falling is an angel. That is interesting. I like that. Wow. Okay. This is actually kind of a pretty, it's like, everything is blue, so it feels very calming. Like a calming tower card, not like a terrifying one. Funny enough. The Star, which was the image on the guidebook. Okay, that's what it was. I thought it was like the image on the, this is the High Priestess on the box, and the Star on the guidebook. Okay. Cute. I like that. Oh, the moon! I love when the moon gets like a cute little face. Like that. I think this is the same wolf dog from the Strength card too. So, continuity. The sun, it's so cute. Love the colors. Judgment. Oh, this card always gets me. You have like an older person here, you have like a little child, like all these people from all different walks of life, you know, and then this like person, I don't know what they represent necessarily, but it's definitely interesting. Very spiritual. I know I'm not like putting a lot of commentary on that. I got lost in my head for a second. The World card. Oh, I love this. Look at all these colors. That's so cute. I like that. Okay, and now we're going to get into the suits, and yeah, so for this part I'm going to speed it up so this video isn't extremely long, so I'm just going to flip through all of them. It will be sped up, and just, yeah, appreciate it on my own time, and then we'll come back. Alright, so that was all of the cards. This is, oh my gosh, they are so pretty. And there are a few cards that truly caught my attention and I really love them. So I am going to pick them out because I'm going to be shuffling this anyway. So yeah, I'm going to pick out the cards that really, really caught my attention. Alright, so I didn't pick any of the major arcana because I already talked about those. I already talked about those, so I just wanted to talk about some of the minors that really stood out to me. This Two of Swords, I love that it's not the traditional crossing, you know, like the arms crossing the body. I really like that it's like hiding your face, you know, instead of like having the blindfold, so it's like you are literally the reason that you can't see. I love that, and I love that it's crossed the way it is because it makes sense for the swords. I don't know, this one I saw it and I was like, wow, that's a really, really good depiction of that. So I really like this one. This one is the Six of Cups, and the reason it stood out to me was because as soon as I saw it, I was like, hold up, is that the artist? Because I follow the artist on Instagram, and I was like, this looks a lot like the artist. And the Six of Cups is all about nostalgia, and so I was wondering if it was like the artist and maybe their younger self, or I don't know if this is like him, and I don't know, because I don't know much about Fyodor Pavlov. I follow him and his art on Instagram, and that's about where it ends. I don't know much about his life, but I feel like this is, hold up. So I do know in the guidebook there is a section about the author, there usually is, so I'm gonna see about the artist, 175. Okay, so about the artist. Fyodor Pavlov is a queer transgender Russian, oh no, I cannot pronounce that, imagery? And longtime New Yorker. The intersection of all these complex identities informs his work as an artist. Working primarily through the medium of watercolor and ink, he maintains a strong portfolio focused on multicultural motifs of history, queer sexuality, and esoteric occultism. His goal is to create images that tell stories and contextualize queer identity in a past where it always existed and reimagine it in a society liberated from suppression. He creates art that brings new life to the past for contemporary audiences and evokes a world in which the past is present, the present is queer, and gender is fluid. Okay. I love that there's like this little art thing, like, okay, but look at these characters. Tell me that that's not the artist. Okay, now I'm curious, and I'm gonna go look in the guidebook for Six of Cups. Somewhere. It's somewhere in here. The most personally intimate card? Oh, I bet. Oh, let's see. Wow, I love that this is like all about what the thoughts of the artist. That's actually really nice. Yep, finding your younger self. That is so cool. I love that. That honestly, I'm gonna read that in more depth eventually because I just kind of skimmed through it to see if I was correct. I'm really liking the way that guidebook's laid out. I'm actually going to sit down and probably read through that because I like that a lot of the artist's thoughts were articulated in the guidebook instead of just like, here's my art and then I'll talk about what the card means. So I really enjoy that. And I do think this is a really good depiction of the Six of Cups. Like, yeah, nostalgia for who you once were. I am in a Six of Cups moment myself right now since I am 23 and in my quarter life crisis, as I recently found out that it actually has a name, and I'm very nostalgic for my younger self. So, ooh, this resonates a lot. This resonates a lot with me. I really like that. Alright, and then this one was another one I chose. I love the Two of Cups as like a card in general, but I really love the depiction here. Look at this. The sun armor with the light blue, then this black cape with the moon on it, and then like the pants are even like, you know, inversed or inverted, and then the hair, like I love that. The opposites attract type of thing, and the sun and moon. I love sun and moon motifs like so much, so this card stood out to me a lot as just a pretty card. I haven't looked into the deeper meanings of it, I just really like the way it looks. The King of Wands also stood out to me because I was looking at it and I noticed he has a wooden leg, and I thought that was so cool. Like, that's just a clever way to, like, I don't know, to give like your king a wooden leg, you know? And I know that this artist wanted to show people of all walks of life, and I think that he did it really, really well. I think sometimes there are decks who force a type of diversity, but it comes across a little like gimmicky or like unnatural. Sometimes it comes across as a way just to make a lot of money and take advantage of people, and usually this comes from big corporations. I think we see this a lot when we look at big mass corporations and teams of people who are just doing stuff to make another buck. This feels so personal. Like, this deck is truly, like, it's a work of love and passion, and I think that the seamless integration of people from everywhere, I really like the way this is depicted. I really, really do. I really love this. Like, I love this. And all the kings look freaking amazing. Like everybody, all the characters are so cool. This one I also really loved. This is the 10 of Pentacles, and I love the way that the family and the generations are depicted, because the 10 of Pentacles is all about giving to the next generation. It's about setting up a life for the next generation, and one day I would love to raise children of my own, so seeing this familial group together, this like connection of people of all ages, it's so sweet and so endearing. And I have a new, well, it's not new, but I have a better connection with generation and family than I did when I was growing up, and yeah, this just really touched me. But anyway, let me go ahead and shuffle the deck, knock out the energy real quick. Oh gosh, okay, they're a little big. I will say they're a little big for my little hands. Oh, that feels good. Okay. That went really well. I know I can't bridge. I need to teach myself how to do it. I'm glad the cards are as thin as they are, because they shuffle very nicely, and I think that the gilding is fine. Like it's not sticky at all. This is good. Awesome. Okay, so my light is running out, so I will not be doing the deck interview today, but I think I will be reading the guidebook tonight, and I will do my deck interview tomorrow. So yeah, I'll see you then. So it is day 2 of working with the Fyodor Pavlov Tarot. I don't know if working is the right word. I mean, we're gonna interview it today. So it was really, really hard not to cave in last night and do the interview last night, because I was very obsessed with this deck, and I was looking through it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I really want to do this interview, but alas, I said I would do it on screen, so we're gonna do that. It's back in its box at the moment, but I will take it out. So I do have a few things I wanted to say before we do the interview. Normally, I would interview my deck first and then look at the guidebook, but I couldn't control myself. Like I said, last night it took a lot of self-discipline not to start interviewing it. So I was looking through the guidebook last night, but I also read through some of the card meanings, and I'm going to say that this is probably not a great beginner deck. Like, yeah, I think it could be good as a beginner deck, but if you're trying to learn the tarot and learn the meanings, I don't think the guidebook's fantastic for that. For one, reversals aren't always mentioned in every single card, and also it's more about what the author, like why the author made certain choices in the artwork, and less about the card's meaning. So I actually really like the guidebook because I already know the tarot card meanings, so I'm actually mostly interested in why the artist decided to depict certain cards like in certain ways. Like, why does the Fool have a cat instead of a dog? Or how come the Two of Swords is positioned differently? And all of that is explained in the guidebook, and I really, really like that because I like to know why the artist chose to depict things differently than the RWS, for example, or why they chose to keep it very RWS based, which this artist did. And so I like that there's a lot of explanation for the choices that were made. However, if you're trying to use this as a way to read the card you're looking at, to understand the meaning, I don't think that would work very well. Some cards, yes, but some cards, no. So I think that if you already know the tarot and you already have a good understanding of every card, then this would be a great deck to have. I mean, in general, I think it's a great deck to have, but at the same time, if you are brand new or you don't have all the meanings memorized, you're going to have another source. So, like biddytarot.com, that's one of my favorite sources for tarot readings or tarot meanings. So if this is your first deck, or like one of your first and you're still learning, the guidebook's great, but you're not going to be able to derive the right meaning, I don't think, for what the card represents. But basically, this guidebook's great for understanding the artist's intent, but not so much for understanding what each card means. Also, yesterday, for some reason, I was like, oh, I thought this deck was gonna be linen, and I was like touching the back of it, and I didn't really touch the front or like look at it too deeply. I don't know what I was thinking. This is linen cardstock, and I love linen cardstock. I was like, wow, this deck shuffles so amazingly. I love this. It's so smooth and feels amazing in the hands, and yeah, well, that's because it's my favorite type of cardstock. The only thing is, I think I would categorize this as like light linen cardstock. I have two other decks that have linen cardstock, and that is Tarot of the Divine and the Jane Austen Tarot. And both of those have like a richer, thicker linen cardstock. This one's very thin, so at first I didn't even realize it was linen, but it is, and I love linen cardstock. So I would call this light linen, not heavy linen. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start doing this deck interview. I always knock on my decks. I don't know if you see my Tarot Quirks video, I always knock on my decks before I use them. I don't know why, I just do. I will say that the cards are already bending. I think I've been too rough on them. So they're already starting to bend a certain way. So I'm trying to bend them back. They shuffle really well though. So there are 6 questions that I ask in my interview process and then 1 extra. So the first question that I'm going to ask the deck is for it to describe itself. So with this particular question, what I'm looking for is for the deck to tell me like, what's its aesthetic? What does it, like how does it view itself? What does it do, I guess? Like what does it like to talk about? What's the main energy of the deck? So that's what I'm looking for in the first question. So we're gonna go ahead and shuffle and pull the first one. Okay, so I went ahead and drew the cards off camera. One thing has stuck out to me about this deck. So for me, if a deck sends out a lot of flyers, it's typically more of a extroverted deck in my personal opinion, and if I have to draw them myself, which I don't mind doing, then the deck is a little shy. A lot of my decks end up sending flyers eventually, so it kind of depends on how shy the deck is at first. So anyway, I did pull the cards for these. I did not have any flyers. I did have a few moments where like a bunch of cards spilled out, but nothing like that felt like, oh yeah, that was the deck shooting out an answer for me. So that was definitely interesting. So I'm getting some like shy energy from this deck. So the first card that I pulled when I said, please describe yourself, like how would you describe yourself, was the Devil. And I'm a little surprised about that. Most cards don't usually describe themselves as the Devil, so I'm not really sure what to make of it. I have a few thoughts. A few thoughts came to my mind. Of course, I thought of the traditional meanings of the Devil card. I also thought of Capricorn energy because the Devil is the card for Capricorn in like the tarot. Like there's 12 cards that represent the 12 zodiac signs, and for Capricorn it's the Devil. So I thought, okay, maybe it's like Capricorn energy. I'm not sure. I'm gonna ask the zodiac sign at the end of this, but for now I was like, okay, well, what is Capricorn energy? And as a Capricorn rising, I feel like I have a comfortable understanding of what Capricorn energy is like. It's very hardworking, it's very realistic, and definitely goal-oriented. So I was like, okay, I could use that, you know, as far as this deck is concerned. Maybe it's very goal-oriented, maybe it's more of a realist, you know, it's not really pessimistic, it's not optimistic, it's just very real. I also considered what the traditional meanings for the Devil are, which is about like addiction, obsession, kind of falling prey to humanity's vices, because that's what we think of when we think of the Devil. And so I was like, okay, maybe this deck has some of that energy to it, or maybe it's trying to help you work through it. So it was definitely an interesting card to pull. I think this deck is kind of like more of like a slap in the face kind of deck. I think it will be. It's kind of shy right now, but I think this deck's gonna be like, nope, you need to face your shadows, you need to face your fears, you need to look at your own vices, and like you're gonna have to sort through that stuff. So I think this could be a very interesting shadow work deck, possibly, but I don't know for sure yet. So I asked the deck, the second question I asked the deck is like, what are your strengths? Like, what are you good at? What kind of readings are you good at? And I got the Queen of Coins reversed, which is interesting. I think if we were looking at this as a strength, perhaps if you are, maybe if you're in a place of financial hardship or you are overspending, overindulging, again, it kind of comes back to the indulgence that I saw within the Devil, that maybe there's too much indulgence in things, and the deck is trying to say that it wants you to become more level-headed, to become more pragmatic, maybe to focus on saving and not overindulging. Another thing that is interesting about the strengths here is that the Queen of Coins reversed can sometimes represent like working without a reward, so it's very similar to like the Eight of Coins reversed or Eight of Pentacles reversed, so that's a part of it as well. It also could mean that there is some sort of like work-life imbalance, because queens are very motherly. They have duties, but the Queen of Coins duty is more earthly matters, finance, stuff like that, and when it's reversed, she's not handling them well, and perhaps she's overwhelmed, perhaps there's like an imbalance of sorts. So if the deck has a strength in this, maybe it's a strength in helping you conquer those things. I'm just guessing. So the next question that I asked for my deck interview is, what are your weaknesses? So we already know the strengths, but what are the weaknesses? And this one sort of got me tripped up, and I think it's because I got the World card, and to me the World card is very positive. It's about a lot of celebration and a completion of a cycle. It's very, I don't know, it's just, to me the World card is so joyful. It's a lot like the Sun, and so it's kind of hard for me to figure out how this would be a weakness. I think my first instinct was to assume that the deck isn't here to complete cycles for you. It's not here to let you finish whatever you're doing and then move on to the next stage of life. The deck is very much rooted in like the nitty-gritty, the deep, like you're in the middle, you're in the thick of the plot, you know, like you're in the middle of the book, and that's where this deck shines the most. Like, I think that this deck probably does better at helping you through the hard parts of life, helping you overcome things, but not to completion. It's here to help guide you through hardship, but it's not here to teach you how to complete the cycle, which is fine. I do think life has a lot of cycles, and I do view my current situations like all the time as in like, where am I in my current plot? It could even be like a side quest, but how far along are you? And I think that there is a time for completion, but this deck does not help with completing something, you know, closing the door. It's about being in the thick of it and possibly helping with your shadow work, maybe. I also want to point out that these are my best interpretations at the moment for what makes sense to me, what I'm getting intuitively. If you disagree with these, that's okay. You can kindly give your opinions in the comments below. But again, these are just my interpretations. These are my understanding of the cards, or this is my understanding of the cards. So yeah, I probably should have said that earlier as my caveat, like, hey, this is just gonna be my opinions and what I'm gathering, so don't yell at me if you think I'm doing it wrong. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. Okay, so question number 4 for my deck interview is like, what are you here to teach me? I got the Fool reversed. I also want to point out, now that I'm looking at it, I have 4 major cards and 2 coins cards. So that's interesting. I just noticed. I don't know why I just noticed that. But anyway, I got the Fool reversed for what are you here to teach me? And I think that's really strange. I don't know how to take this one. I think there's 2 ways I can look at it. Either A, the deck is here to teach me how to let loose, be more juvenile in a sense, have more fun, be a bit more naive, be innocent. On the other hand, it could be here to teach me how not to be too naive or too inconsiderate of what's coming, and it could be here to teach me how to not be so reckless. With the Devil card being the Describe Yourself card, and with the Strengths and Weaknesses being Queen of Coins reversed and the World, it leads me to believe that the deck wants me to not be so reckless and not be so childish, so it's here to teach me how to less naive in situations and to come into them with a clear head, to learn. Again, the Fool is like the first part of the journey. It's where you start, and then you have to go through everything else to get to that completion, get to the end of that story. Sometimes the message is very clear with these sorts of things. Sometimes it's not. So I guess we'll just keep going and see what happens. My fifth question for deck interviews is, how can we best work together? Like, how can we best collaborate and understand one another? And I got the 9 of Coins reversed. So this is interesting. I think this makes the Fool card from before make more sense, actually, because the 9 of Coins reversed, or like the 9 of Pentacles reversed, when we think of the Nine of Pentacles upright, it's about wish fulfillment, it's about like achieving the things that you wanted, the goals that you wanted to go after. And when it's reversed, there's like blockages. Like there's something standing between you and your goals. Maybe the idea that you had in your head, like you had this plan, you were executing it, you had all these hopes and dreams, and they just did not go as you expected them to. Which is very funny, because that is exactly how I'm feeling right now in my current place in life. But this kind of got me, because when I look at the 9 of Pentacles and when I think of the questions that come up with this card, it's like, what went wrong with your goals? Like what happened? What stands in your way? What stopped you from moving forward? What has held you back financially, or what has prevented you from seeing the success that you hoped for? And I was like, and seeing that as like, how can we best work together? I think this deck is like, no, I see you. I see that you're struggling right now, and I'm here to help guide you through that. And I think the Fool makes more sense now, because maybe when I said like, what are you here to teach me? Maybe it was about like, you need to just go with the flow, and try not to force things so much. The Fool is very much a card that is kind of like laissez-faire and hopeful, and doesn't force rigid structure, because that doesn't come till later. And so maybe this deck is like, you know, we're gonna work through this, and you just need to have trust, you know? So I don't know, maybe I'm just pulling weird meanings out of nowhere, but that's kind of my thought process. The last question that I have for my deck interviews is, what is the potential outcome of our relationship? And I got the Hanged Man, and I am not a fan of this card, because the Hanged Man symbolizes you having to sacrifice something in order to achieve your highest self, to become your highest self. In order to align with your life path, you have to sacrifice something. And it's so timely, because I've been getting the Hangman a lot recently, because I have lost things and I have to make sacrifices in order to best align with who I want to be. And so I feel like this deck came to me at the right time. Of course, the deck could just be reading my energy right now and not actually answering my questions, but this is the deck interview that we have going, so we're just gonna call this the interview. But if the potential outcome of the relationship is for me to learn how to sacrifice appropriately in order to move forward, perhaps that's what I need right now. So, alright, so now for my favorite part of the deck interview process, and that is to ask the deck what its zodiac sign is. For the most part, I do take the deck's assessment of itself, like that's what I'm like, yep, that's okay, you said it, so that must be what you are. Sometimes I'm hesitant, and I'm like, I don't know if that's your energy at all. Like, if this deck gives me like Gemini energy, I'm going to be very, very confused. Because I don't think that this deck, I think this deck is a little too serious and a little too dark, maybe, to have Gemini energy. So I feel like if I got that sign, for example, I'd be a little confused. Say if they gave me like Sag energy, like if it was a Sagittarius, I'd be confused, because I think Sag energy is a bit more fiery and fun and like let loose than it is serious. So yeah, I think that wouldn't make sense. But I do give the deck a chance to tell me itself what its zodiac energy is. And the question I ask is basically, if you were a zodiac sign, if you embodied the energy of a zodiac sign, which zodiac sign would you be? And so that's the question I'm going to ask. But if the energy doesn't align, then what I do is I just wait for a while and decide later what the signs like what sign it could be. So yeah. Anyway, enough talking. We're just gonna go ahead and ask the deck. Okay. We got a card. I don't know what it is yet because I haven't flipped it over. That one fell out. So before I say anything, if it's one of the 12 majors that has a zodiac sign attached to it, that's one way I can figure out what zodiac sign it is. If it's a 2 through 10, each of those represents a decan in the zodiac, so I can figure out which sign it is based on the element of the suit and on the number because of the decans. And if it's a court card, at least a knight, queen, or king, I can also figure it out based on the element of the suit and which zodiac sign is represented by those. The only cards that I can't identify the zodiac sign is going to be pages, aces, and the 10 major arcana that do not have a zodiac sign. So I'm interested to see what this is going to be. If it's one of those that is not related to a zodiac sign, I will ask for more clarification, and if it comes up muddled or doesn't make sense, then I will just decide later. So yeah, but let's see, what zodiac sign are we? Oh, okay, we are the Six of Cups, and I think this is very fitting. The deck literally pulled the card, or threw out the card, that represents the artist himself with his younger self, and if that is not the energy of this deck, I would have been surprised, honestly. Like, that is the energy of this deck, right? It's definitely a passion project. Now, I'm not entirely sure which decan is the Six of Cups. I know it's a water sign, but I'm not really sure which decan, so I'm going to look it up. I think it's a Scorpio one. That actually makes sense. The seriousness, the darkness, the wanting to work through your shadow self. That makes a lot of sense. The sacrificing. Huh. Yeah, as a Scorpio sun, okay, I see it, okay. I do have another Scorpio deck already, but Six of Cups energy here with the nostalgia. Interesting, a Scorpio decan. Okay, alright, this deck says it's a Scorpio, so I'll take its word for it. I am excited to do more work with the Fyodor Pavlov Tarot. I think it's very pretty. I will say, as I mentioned at the beginning, the gilding does start to chip, and it's already chipping because I'm very rough with my decks. So it's already starting to happen on this one. So that's unfortunate, especially if I work with it a lot. But yeah, that is the deck interview process. And I will do some final thoughts before we close out this video. Alright, and that is it. That is the deck interview process that I do for like every single deck. I am surprised that this deck was a Scorpio. I don't know why, but I am. I'm surprised that it was a Scorpio, but I'm not surprised that it chose its energy to be based off of the Six of Cups, or like its zodiac sign. You know, like that makes sense. The artist is literally in the picture. So that's really cool. But as far as crystals, for now I have the Dragon Bloodstone crystal on top of the deck. I'll leave a meaning of what it is up here. I really don't remember. I know I did my crystal video and I already forgot. So this is what the stone means, but I don't know, it doesn't feel quite right. I feel like there needs to be a different crystal, and I'm leaning towards something that's more yellow or blue or black. I don't know. So I need to get a few more tumbles at some point. May not happen anytime soon, given my financial situation, but at some point I will do that, and then I will swap them out. And when I do, I will tell you, I will let you know. But for now, it does have the Dragon Bloodstone, so at least it can absorb whatever energy that is. And hopefully that will, I don't know, influence the deck in some way. I don't know, the deck's kind of nice. The deck is shy though, so I'm kind of excited or interested to see this deck open up a bit more. So anyway, I think that is all I have to say about this. If you guys have any more questions, as always, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. If you have any video requests, be sure to leave those in the comments because I do write them all down. If I've commented on your video, then I probably have written down your video idea, and I am slowly making my way through them. So yeah, if you have any requests at all, I would love to see it, and I will feature you in the beginning of my video. as I do for everybody who's requested a video. So yeah, basically, do that. Do that if you want to. You don't have to, but do that if you want. Alright, and yeah, I think that is all I have to say about this. So, until next time, I will catch you later.